it's a good evening for them.
As Gary said, I'm sure Ryan Lowe will be disappointed with at least two of the goals to concede two headers. When you set your stall out defensively, they're very solid. Give a couple of soft-ish goals.
Yeah, exactly. We know Chelsea can open you up at times in terms of the quality of their combination play. So many technically gifted players, Cole Palmer particularly highlighted before the game. So yeah, it was kind of the rudimentary nature of the goals which they conceded, particularly the first goal, in-swing and cross from Gusto into the box. Ironically, he's playing on the left-hand side, predominantly right foot, doesn't want to go on his left-hand side, so gets forced onto his right-hand side. And Broja really shown his quality. I think you can pick Broja's game apart a little bit in terms of his qualities. He's not the quickest over the ground, maybe not a high level of technical ability. He's not the easiest on the eye. Actually reminds me of Alexander Mitrovic when he was at Fulham. But what he is, he's good between the posts. And if you get the right type of surface into him, I think that this lad can chip in with his fair share of goals, and he showed that.
Did we see in that second half from Preston, in that period of maybe 20 minutes in the middle of the half, symptomatic of a side low on confidence who've lost, that's four wins now in the last 20 games in all competitions, tells its own story. But I'm not saying they capitulated, but to concede 3 goals in 11 minutes, they lacked energy, they were tired, and perhaps there's a little bit of mental fatigue as well.
Probably drained, as you say, the goals got in, Conor. It can drain you as well away from home, and again, the lack of confidence in Preston's team probably floods back into the team and into their minds when they do go behind, and especially away from home. But again, we talk about Chelsea, the quality they have, and it's quite refreshing. Actually, we mentioned the first goal that actually Chelsea are prepared to get a cross into the box. Because sometimes with these top teams, it always has to be the perfect goal, the perfect cutback, or the perfect, rolled across the 6-yard box. A brilliant cross and a brilliant header, and sometimes it's refreshing to see that.
Yeah, a couple of lovely goals, and we'll look at them all when we come back. We'll also have further analysis and hopefully some reaction from Stamford Bridge in just a moment. Welcome back. So Chelsea in the hat for the 4th round of the FA Cup. Normal service really at Stamford Bridge today, 4-0 winners over Preston. Let's recap on the goals in that second half. 0-0 at half-time, of course. So we did say that the opening goal in the second half would be crucial. Great header from Armando Broja, Shay.
Yeah, brilliant header, and again, we spoke about him before the game. Is he the answer to Chelsea's striking problems? Because we know they've had some good games, lots of possession this season, but no one to stick the ball in the back of the net. But that's an absolutely brilliant header. It's a brilliant cross in from Gusto, but he's got a lot to do here, Conor. It's not an easy header, this, and to generate that power and direction, any top centre forward would be happy with that. You see it from this angle, it's an absolute brilliant header. And again, what does that do to his confidence? Does that give him a lift? Does that give Pochettino belief that this guy is for us moving forward? We don't need to dip into the market. He could be the answer. I know he took him off, I think, at 75 minutes. Was that to protect him maybe for the next game, perhaps? So he'll be happy tonight. And
we'll talk broadly about his contribution in that context in just a couple of moments. But they didn't have to wait too long for the second goal that arrived just 8 minutes later. Thiago Silva in off the bench, maybe to shore things up at the back, but of course turns up unmarked from the set piece.
Yeah, we know how good he is in his own penalty box, but he's always done this during his career. Chipped in with his fair share of goals. It's all about the timing, really. He's clever. There's a bit of a mini block going on here in the Preston defence. Hughes it is for me, who's actually delegated to mark him, but just doesn't do enough. Gets across his man. You can see Hughes here in the middle of the picture there. He's going to put his hands up. So I need a bit of help here, but it's his man. His responsibility. He's got to track that run. Sometimes you've got to drop off a yard, maybe make sure there's not too much traffic around you, but nice bit of movement from Thiago Silva.
A source of some annoyance, I'm sure, to Preston and their manager, because you go a goal down, it's about steady the ship, circle the wagons for the next 5 or 6 minutes or so. Certainly don't let Thiago have the freedom in the penalty box.
No, and again, like Chelsea are a good enough team and good enough players to cut you open with some brilliant play. A set play is you're set up as a team defensively and as a defensive unit. And Ryan Lowe will look at that, and explain to the lads the next day or so and say that's not good enough. They shouldn't be conceding from that goal.
69th minute, Raheem Sterling with the 3rd goal, which really put any argument that was left at that stage to bed.
Kenny wasn't so sure as Raheem stepped up to this, but we've seen this a couple of weeks ago actually at Newcastle. It was a nearly identical position, Conor, and obviously Raheem's adding this to his game now. He sort of hits with the instep of his foot and wobbles a bit, but again, I think Freddie Woodman's got no chance in the goal. This is a great angle from behind the goal, The keeper can't really see much of it. I think Thiago Silva was actually directing the 2-man Chelsea wall as well to block out the goalkeeper in this here, and the goalkeeper sees it late over the wall, but that's a brilliant finish from Raheem.
It's a great free kick, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen it 6 times now. Every time I watch, I'm still not convinced he's going to score.
It definitely goes in, Kenny.
He's definitely added to his game, I'll give him that, but he needs that, Sterling, because he's coming under increasing pressure from other players in the squad, and Kuka now is fit and available. You can see the quality he has. Even Madueke of late who's come in and really impressed. So yeah, real pressure on him at the moment for one of those attacking positions.
Over pedantic to say if you've got a 4-man wall and 2 men on the inside jump and it's the 4th man on the outside doesn't jump and get off the ground, he would have blocked that? Is that it?
Yeah, but I think it's an easy. I understand the point you're making. I think it's an easy one to make. I'm never a big fan of the wall jumping. I've got to be honest with you, because I think it splinters. Very difficult to get those 4 people jumping in cohesion. Then invariably you get one person turning to the side. I've seen a lot of goals scored where the wall actually fractures and the ball goes through the wall. So I think that one you can argue with both ways.
Look, Preston well and truly a beaten Dock at that time. We thought and expected they'd get 4, maybe 5. We didn't have VAR in our first game today at the Bet365. We certainly didn't miss it. It did intervene, but it didn't rule out Enzo Fernandez with the 4th goal.
Well, Fernandez is probably happy VAR's involved in this game, because if it hadn't have been, he wouldn't have got the goal. So it'll be one less goal on his CV, of course, Conor. But I think it clearly comes off Raheem Sterling's thigh. I think maybe the way it took so long, VAR were probably questioning did it come off his arm, because if it did, the goal would be disallowed. And again, it's onside. Where the question mark is he offside or not? The linesman gave offside, but on the VAR, when you see it back, he's definitely onside. So again, 4-0, and it's another goal for Fernandez.
I think the important thing here, Fernandez is in the penalty box. Spoke about him at half-time. For me, he's playing too deep. This lad isn't at his best as a holding midfielder. He's got to get ahead of the ball. He's got to get into the last third. He's got real quality when he gets 30 yards from the opposition goal. And if he gets into those positions, far post, he'll chip in with his fair share of goals. Spoke about Sterling being under a bit of pressure, his starting position. He's under huge pressure, and he's in a £100 million sign. And Lavia gets himself fit. Conor Gallagher, you spoke about, you're a big fan of. There's real competition in that central area of the pitch. He needs more of that.
Yeah, really important game on Tuesday night. You mentioned the fact they took Broja off on 75 minutes. We may be able to hear from him very shortly indeed. He'd obviously done his job. He looked lively. He's going to be very important on Tuesday. And from Chelsea's point of view, arguably that League Cup, Carabao Cup semi-final against Middlesbrough first leg is a more important game. So performance aside, the result speaks for itself. 4-0. I think Pochettino will be happy in that regard tonight. He's managed to mix things up, take players off and go into a bigger game on Tuesday.
Yeah, both competitions are big for Chelsea, let's be honest. They're a huge club. They've got no chance in the Premier League of winning the league, and probably no chance of even getting Champions League at this stage either. So these two competitions are massive for a club of that size. If Pochettino can get his hands on a trophy this season, then the pressure just eases a little bit on him as well. But yeah, Broja's one to look at. Obviously, Jackson we spoke about before is away, in the African Cup. So it's an opportunity for him, of course. And again, we said if he can get a goal today or even a couple of goals, then what does that do for his confidence?
I'll just jump in because I do think we can hear from Armando Broja back at Stamford Bridge now.
It was a good performance at the end. We struggled a little bit in the first half to get going. Couldn't really break them down. They were defending quite well. But then obviously second half we made some adjustments, and then we were attacking really well. Got Misha and Malo get on the ball over there, and I thought, yeah, it's an opportunity for them to deliver. There weren't many people in the box, and it was a great delivery from him. So just tried to get my head on it, and yeah, it was not a bad header, so it was all right.
Is it a weight off your shoulders getting that goal?
A little bit. Obviously coming back and coming off the bench and playing a few games and stuff, it's and not scoring. It's not easy, to go on a run and not score goals. So yeah, I'm really excited and really happy that I could get that goal today, and hopefully many more to come in the future and going forward. So.
Do split seconds like that make up for all the dark days, the dark months when you're training by yourself, when you're on the treatment table?
Yeah, of course. Moments like that is just what makes you happy and what puts a smile on your face. A lot of people don't see the miserable and down days that you do have, and there's sometimes a lot of pressure on your shoulders when everyone's expecting you to score every game. And for me, I just try to go out there and help the team out as much as possible. I've said it many times. I know I've come back from a big injury, but I try to leave that past me now and try to leave the down days past me and try to look forward to the good days. So today was one of those better days. So.
Scoreline 4-0 makes cruel reading for fans of Preston North End. Didn't actually tell the story of the game. They were very good up until that Chelsea goal blitz.
Yeah, like I said before at the beginning, it was difficult to break them down in that first half. They were defending quite well. We had a few opportunities, but Cole's one at the beginning and a few others that we tried to get in. But yeah, they were defending quite well and they were quite deep and quite narrow. So it was hard to break them down. But like I said, we made some adjustments in that second half. Once we got that goal, it kind of opened up the game a little more, and we created more opportunities. And yeah, we was playing more of our football. And yeah, the scoreline at the end reflected in the game. So.
And the goal celebrations, I think, tell another story because there's great camaraderie out there because you're all kids together. It's a very young side, this.
Yeah. We're a very young squad. Everyone knows that. We've got completely new team and a lot of young players as well, but that's the beauty of it. You know, we try to develop all together every single day. We're out there on the training pitch or in the games, and we try to bond together every single day. So it's good to build that, you know, that team for many years to come. So that's what we're trying to do.
Is this the perfect way to build up for that Carabao semi-final first leg against Middlesbrough?
Of course. I mean, we've got. It was a great performance today, like I said before, and it's just amazing that we could come out, win the game, and go into the next game, you know, with high hopes and try and, you know, win that game as well, and then move on to Fulham. So,
well done, all the best to you.
Thank you very much, mate.
22 years of age, he speaks very well. He certainly doesn't remember Peter Osgood. He doesn't even remember Kerry Dixon and his FA Cup exploits down the years for Chelsea. His overall performance tonight, Kenny, though, you were impressed overall?
Yeah, he was on the periphery of the game, kind of first half. This is kind of bread and butter to him, really, in terms of hold-up play. Has those kind of physical attributes. He can pin centre-halves and make it stick, just receives the ball into the box. He does okay, little swivel shot is blocked, but it just didn't get him into the game often enough. And he is very dependent, this lad, on service. You couldn't question his attitude, closing down the goalkeeper here. Good bit of wing play. He spoke about it, getting the ball into wide areas, putting crosses into the box. This was after he scored his goal, getting between the two centre-halves again. You feel he really enjoys that part of the game, attacking those crosses into the box. I agree with Gary Breen. His first touch just let him down here, took him onto his wrong side. Didn't do an awful lot wrong after that, but could easily have had himself a second goal. So second half was better. Totally different type of player to me, to Nicholas Jackson. I'll be very interested to see how potentially Pochettino sees him, his role going forward. Jackson's a bit more flexible. He can actually play off the sides, Jackson. This lad's number 9. Has to play down the middle. Interesting to see going forward if Pochettino feels he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough to be the number 1, but certainly as a number 2, as a backup, can he contribute enough? And the next question you have to ask, is that lad going to be happy over the next 2 to 3 years to be the Chelsea number 2 striker with his age?
You'd imagine he's going to start pretty much for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And I know he mentioned his interview as well. He was out for 10 months with an ACL, which is a major injury for any player. So again, you know, it takes time to get up to speed. And again, it takes time to regularly play every 3 or 4 days. But I think that every time he plays, then the more confidence he'll get both in his knee and in his performances. And there was a lot of positives. You know, he could have scored a hat-trick there within 3 or 4 minutes. You know what that would have done to his confidence. And again, there was opportunities. We didn't show it there, but they had opportunities to put it into the box, and he was free sometimes, and he didn't do it. They cut it back or played a simple pass. You know, so this team has to recognise this guy, as Kenny rightly says, is different to Jackson. If you put the ball into the box, he can cause, you know, defence's big problems.
Absolutely, cut your cloth to suit him. Just a couple of things to do before we go. I want to bring you up to date with the final score from the Riverside. It's finished Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 1 in the FA Cup third round today. Of course, Chelsea go to the Riverside in that Carabao Cup semi-final on Tuesday night. Matty Cash, Villa had to wait